Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking at 3 2v2 ranked games played by oKhaliD and Toxiic. They're solo queuing into each other for all 3 of these games, but they will be partied up. We're going to see why they're such a powerful combination, aside from the fact that, of course, they are just exceptional players in their own right. Shout out to Toxiic for always uploading his ranked games to ballchasing.com. Gives us a great look at what players are practicing, gives us a great look at matches that otherwise wouldn't be viewable, as I don't think anyone was streaming this. And of course in this first game, as you can see, oKhaliD and Toxiic are going to be up against Jirali and Revzy, so all players that we've casted a bunch on the channel before. Nice little slowdown on the rotation back there from oKhaliD, realizing that the infield pass was the most threatening option available to Jirali. He didn't need to worry so much about the shot from that angle, because it would have been more difficult for Jirali to hit that on target with speed. That's one of the most important aspects about 2v2. When you're following up on your teammate, you have to figure out what is the most threatening thing in the position. Is it my teammate getting outplayed? Do I need to be ready to follow up on one of his challenges that isn't going to work? Is it the pass? Is it the shot? Playing second man in 2v2 is, in my opinion, the hardest thing in Rocket League. Well, apart from just playing 1v1, of course. But let's see how oKhaliD and Toxiic decide to do that. oKhaliD sitting back here on Toxic's offensive play, knew that Toxic's recovery was going to be quite slow, and he also knew that there wasn't really much to be gained by attacking in that position. Toxiic deciding to make a play on an uncontested ball. oKhaliD now trying to lift it into a position Toxiic can follow up on. They are linking up pretty well in the midfield right now, although I don't expect to see any risky passes being attempted by these two. That's not what I've seen from them in the past, and it's not really a done thing by many 2v2 ranked players, as most players will get into 2s to grind those solo outplay mechanics that they can then use in 3v3. But that's a low risk pass. oKhaliD landing on the back wall, even facing down for the recovery, just lifting the ball over the goalkeeper, actually lifting it over both players, once with the air dribble, once with a very delicate kind of pinching touch. Toxiic could have a free shot at the far post. Toxiic making a run ahead play now. If it's not going to be an outplay to take opponents out of the game, it'll be a demo. And speaking of the devil, there it is. Toxiic gets an outplay on one, a demo on the other, and oKhaliD is there for the finish. So both players now assisting each other from the same side of the net, using similar ideas but different execution. That is what you will see oftentimes from these two players, especially. Just an attempt to outplay the opponents. Not so much of a concern of putting a shot on target. I'm not sure about that touch. Looked like oKhaliD took it away from Toxiic. And now, on the retreat, he takes both out under boost. oKhaliD trolling Toxiic a little bit here. I don't think that was a replay bug either. I think he genuinely did just take both of the boosts. So Toxiic must be furious that he has been left starved, although it didn't seem to bother him too much as he stays up to pace with the play. Heavy first touch there by Revzy. Toxiic gave it to him. Revzy gives it straight back. Now let's see if oKhaliD and Toxiic can get back into the swing of things. For a good minute or minute and a half there, they were synergizing very well. Quick follow-ups in each other's plays, linking up with touches in the midfield, as now again Toxiic popping the ball into a position oKhaliD can get to more quickly than the opponent. oKhaliD actually just misreading an overhead clear. Didn't think it was going to go that high, but luckily for him, Toxiic decided to cover him instead of turning and just assuming blindly that oKhaliD would be making a touch on the box. Of course, in those kind of positions, oKhaliD is going to hit that the vast majority of the time, but there's always a chance he doesn't. There's always a chance the touch ends up being more awkward than it looked. And why turn preemptively when you can just react to that kind of position? It's a very good pre-jump by Jirali. Going to get a second touch as well to keep Toxiic from taking the ball for free. Toxic's flip reset fails to land, but he uses the momentum that it's given him anyway to get a demo on the last man. Even when misplays end up happening, these guys are immediately adapting into a backup plan, and that actually might just be in. Toxiic makes it 3-1 with a big dunk on Jirali. It went in off the ceiling, bouncing into the net from a tight angle. Jirali actually did just about all he could there. Well, look at this, we've got a double fake kickoff. Revzy ends up just passing the ball off to oKhaliD though, not the touch that he wanted in that position, I'm sure. Both teams I should say, faking it at the same time. What a pass. Oh, it was nearly what a pass by Toxiic, but then he went for another touch on it. I think he expected to need to outplay another player there. We'll have another look as we go to 4-1, as that will be the forfeit. But let's have a look at what happened here with Toxic's back corner outplay. Tight angle double. The reason he went for this is not to troll oKhaliD, But in this last frame or two before the screen turns, it looks like Drally is coming in behind Revsy. So right there, Drally's just disappeared from Toxic's screen. Last thing that he saw from Drally is that he's behind Revsy, so he thinks that he's going to need to outplay Drally as well, which is why when he flips into, or why he commits to flipping into this ball, now he realizes, oh wait a minute, Drally's actually at the far post, I didn't need to outplay him. That was just wide open for khalid. Right there. He doesn't realize until it's too late, from what I can see, that he actually just had already secured an open net for khalid, but no problems. Rotate back around and gives khalid the second goal. Both players just proven to be too efficient, too fast, and too good at following up on each other's touches for the most part in this first game out of 3. But the second and third game for today's video are going to be against the same team both times. Let's find out who it's going to be. Sizen and Zen, the Zens, the French duo, going to be up against khalid and Toxic for 2 games in a row, and they've got, well, possibly the advantage of team comms, because I believe these games were played before voice chat was added into ranked, which is going to be a very interesting development to see how that changes, if it does change, the dynamic of ranked 2v2. Passing play is much more likely to be a thing now that voice chat is added in, of course, if players decide to use it, because it's much less risky and it's much easier to infield pass the ball in a risky angle to a teammate who shouts that he's middle than it is to just go for one for the sake of doing it. That's mainly the reason why you don't see too many passing plays in high level 2s. Toxic. Very good vision there, looking to the right to see if there's a challenge coming. Takes his time when he saw that there wasn't one. khalid being demoed out of the picture though will lead Toxic to actually commit to the ball. I thought Toxic was going to try and stall there, but it just shows you how much confidence he's got in khalid's defense. But was it misplaced? Because this time Zen manages to outplay him. Lovely dunk after the air dribble from a low altitude from Zen. khalid unable to solo defend long enough to give Toxic time to recover. Toxic and khalid, that's not the first time we've seen one of them just completely back off and leave a bit of a disconnect between them and their teammate. That's not something I expect to see often from them, as for the most part they've been playing about a quarter field apart from each other, which tends to be the preferred distance, whether you're following up on an opponent's challenge onto your teammate or whether you're following up on your teammate's challenge onto an opponent. Kind of being a quarter pitch away is a decent distance as a rule of thumb. Of course, it all depends on how fast the play is moving, how fast the ball is moving. Toxic there shrugging off Sizen's bump, but unable to cause any problems with his shot from that distance. Toxic there going for a bit of both, going for the demo, going for the ball at the same time. Now he just has to rely on khalid's solo defense again, but he spawns near post, and that'll at least force Zen to go high with the air dribble, and this time khalid does manage to get the save on what was another exceptional dunking attempt by Zen. Look at this. Pinch almost on target by khalid and Toxic. The synergy is definitely improving. I thought for a second there they were going to go for another one, but I think it would have been a bit too obvious with that kind of range in the run-up. Toxic so confident in khalid's defense. He is very, very aggressive in this game, wanting to put the pressure on Zen and Sizen as far up the field as he can. khalid now hits a deft touch past one. It's Toxic versus Zen. Toxic has got the mind game, but unfortunately for khalid, he was too far back. Sizen able to easily beat him to that one. I don't think khalid wanted to commit with Toxic landing in the net, but sometimes he does, and that's another aspect of high level 2 that I think is a lot more relevant than high level 3s, and that's surprising your opponents with your challenges. 3s, I think the best way to challenge the vast majority of the time is just to go as quickly as possible, but in 2s it's not always the case. Sometimes you don't want to go, because if you go every time, you're definitely just going to run into hard clears and early outplays that get the ball past you. Toxic with a rare miss on a wave dash. He recovers quickly nonetheless. Just manages to build up enough speed to demo Sizen on his recovery back to the goal. Sizen is then proven to be Very, very tough nut to crack here. Oh, Toxiic accidentally centers the ball. That wasn't the side of it he wanted to make contact with, but it's going to work out because it's baited Zen and Sizen to both commit in the back corner. They thought they were about to get an offensive play out of this, but the ball spills out into the middle. Toxiic's first to reach it. Great defense by oKhaliD in this game. Toxiic has shown such faith in him to have both of the French players covered. He just challenges with absolutely no fear. It's like oKhaliD might have gone AFK there just briefly. That was a strategy, but you never know with the mind games that do get played at this level. I don't think the complete AFK kickoff strategy is ever a good one to go for, though. You could probably come up with a more convincing fake. Or several. 40 seconds, 45 seconds left now for Sizen and Zen. Looking tricky. This is a comfortable position for oKhaliD and Toxiic. They are not eager to throw themselves out of the game here. oKhaliD forces Sizen to jump early. Toxiic beats Zen to the punch as well. And that just wastes even more time off the clock. oKhaliD deciding to get infield pass here. Not the best shot by Toxiic. Definitely could have been 4-1 there, but they do not need a goal. And they didn't need to commit to create that chance anyway. 10 seconds left. Zen and Sizen, not Zen and Sizen. Actually, not forfeit. I thought it was a forfeit there briefly, but it's actually just a replay bug. It makes no difference. Nothing but consolation goal up for grabs now as they drop the first game against oKhaliD and Toxiic, who are just playing so well as a unit at the moment and proven to be too difficult to get past. The black profile picture trio going to be making a comeback in the third game of today's video. Let's see if the French players can win in the rematch. We're back on oKhaliD POV for game number 3. Toxiic must be absolutely loving this based on how free he's been able to play in this matchup. Oh my goodness, he must be loving watching oKhaliD dismantle the near post defense 1-0 inside 6 seconds. A great mind game. What I love most about the way oKhaliD plays these mind games is he's not in a risky position. There's no real danger of a big dunk going wrong there. Even if the mind game doesn't work, the backup is a 50-50. And when you've got best case scenario a mind game and worst case scenario a 50-50, that's a great deal. And it really just explains perfectly oKhaliD's mindset on all of these offensive plays. It's low risk but high reward. And when you play that way, you're going to have some of the most consistent plays, some of the most consistent rank capabilities out of anyone in the leaderboard. That's why oKhaliD often sits close to rank 1 and pretty much always in the top 10. oKhaliD is going to leave this one for Toxiic. Wanted to save his remaining boost so that he can get back into position. He will actually have a chance to 1v1 Zen now off the back of Toxiic's demo. Zen not falling for that mind game. Less convincing by oKhaliD. Didn't really set himself up with the first touch. And Zen, excellent defender. Would have been extremely embarrassed if you let that one go past him. These two really do just make sense in a team together. You've got Toxiic, who's clearly a very aggressive player, a player who wants to challenge early. He wants to put pressure on the opponents, and he wants to keep the ball in the opposing team's half as much as possible. And you've got oKhaliD, who always wants to play as consistently as he can, and a player who always wants to go for the high percentage plays, and that just really makes them very unpredictable as a pairing. Unless you're communicating perfectly together, it's difficult to know which one of them is facing up against you when somebody is coming in for a challenge. Do you default towards an early outplay to beat a player like Toxiic, who's going to dive in no matter where the ball is in your half, or do you have to slow play because you're up against a player like oKhaliD? That's what Zen's going for here. Tries to infield to Sizen. Toxiic, of course, has it covered, identified the threat, shut it down, and that's a great pass. oKhaliD deciding not to commit to it as it looked like a bit of a 50-50 situation. That's an unbelievable pass into the middle. Toxiic buries it, but what a pass by oKhaliD, and a forfeit already from Zen and Sizen. Well, that's the reason we wanted to show these matches in the chronological order, because this would have made no sense otherwise had we not seen the previous game. But wow. oKhaliD fakes the first challenge, turns around, and absolutely stuns with a brilliant pass into the middle. Toxiic somehow ready for it. I don't think they would have been expecting a forfeit this early from two players as established as Zen and Sizen, especially two players who are in a party, but it just shows that they were not having fun in this matchup. They want to go next already. They just can't even get out of their half almost, because oKhaliD is following up on Toxiic so well on all these plays, and the pressure Toxic's able to put on the ball is just giving oKhaliD completely free possession a lot of the time. So great stuff. I think that is a great consistent way to play 2v2. One player, the default aggressor, one player, the default defender. But of course, it is very fluid, just like 3v3. You don't have dedicated positions. You do have to switch every now and then. But yeah, anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Shout out to Toxiic again for uploading his rank replays. If you enjoyed this, I've got plenty more of his replays and oKhaliD's on the channel, so be sure to check them out. But that's all we got time for today, so take care, and until next time, thanks for watching.